Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today I've been set a challenge. One or two people who saw my rant about the Eduard company when I talked about Eduard's products and what have you, and I think it was a very balanced review of them, because I said a lot of nice things about some of their kits, and I also said some fairly strong criticisms. And one of the strongest criticisms was about the new decals. Now, I said I've been set a challenge. Well, several people said, well, have you actually used them? Have you actually used them? And the simple answer is no, I haven't, because I've seen videos of many people who are very, very skilled and competent modelers trying to use them and struggling. That doesn't mean that they are not usable or can't be used, but it's a question of whether you're prepared to risk, you know, some really superb model you've produced, maybe for months and months or even longer, and whether you want to take the risk just for Eduard's benefit, whether you want to see, you know, the possibility of you doing some damage to it, which is very likely in some cases. And I've seen several people, including Phil Flory and others, who have, you know, these people know what they are doing, and they have really struggled not to damage the model. So I thought I'd give it a go. I've got my spare bits of Sea Harrier here from my old friend, the Kinetic Sea Harrier, and this is actually the FA2 wing I've got here. So I thought, why don't we just try? This is not a very scientific test, and I'm not setting out to make it fail, or I'm just trying to satisfy this criticism that I've faced. I think I know what the outcome will probably be, but I think it'd be interesting to just try and do this on camera and see if we can get this the carrier film off. This has actually been decaled a day ago, more than a day now, it's about 27 hours ago. And I thought it'd be interesting to film this and see how I get on. I have to say that the particular design of decals are not very challenging actually, so if it goes well, it doesn't mean the decals are great, it just means that I only wanted to sort of risk a couple of fairly straight ones, so perhaps it's not the most accurate test, but I thought it'd be quite interesting for us to see it. So why don't I zoom in and then we'll see what we've got here. So this has been just sprayed purely with, it's not got a top coat in fairness, but it has been sprayed with extra dark sea grey from AK Real Colours. So why don't we have a little look at this and see if I can get this film off. So what I've got here is I've got my trusty Tamiya tape, probably wider than I need, but that's the one that's to hand. Trusty Tamiya tape, and we've got my trusty, somewhere, I've got my trusty tweezers here, which we can use to try and remove it. And I thought we'd give it a go and do it on camera. So let's just move the tape a second. Now I'm going to try one with tweezers and one with tape. I think the thick one we'll try with tape. So you can see that the Eduard decal, this is actually the decals are actually from the Tura Zero model. So I'm going to get some tape here, Tamiya tape, and we're going to pop this on, because this seems to be the way that people say is probably the best way to remove it. Oops, get that on there and see what happens. So this is, you have to leave it to set for at least 24 hours. I'm just going to see what happens now when I try and remove this, whether it'll pull it off cleanly or not. And see what exactly it is like. And then, oh great, so it's removed the entire decal. Oh, there we go. So, well, there we go. Now, I didn't expect that actually, to be honest. It's removed almost the entire decal. Now, I used a setting solution to get this on. I'll zoom in. So, again, I've not set this up. I promise you, I haven't set this up deliberately to fail. It was never going to convince me either way, but there are applications when this painted on look, which is what the Eduard decals are supposed to be really for, can work. But this is very like what's just happened to me is pretty much what happened to Phil Flory. I'm going to try it on the other one. Maybe do it without the tape, but I didn't expect that. setting solution was used to bond this down, so that shouldn't have lifted off like that, to be honest. That's surprising, really. So that's a fail, but not quite in the way I expected. I thought it would come. I mean, again, I could have ruined a really good model. Let's just try and do it. I'm going to zoom in again. Try and do these are the two bars. I'm going to just try and lift the top film with the tweezers and see if that works. But there should be good bond here. Should be a pretty good bond between the surface and the decal. Because as I say, I've used plenty of setting solution. You look very carefully, you can see that it's actually contoured pretty well. Zoom in the old way, yeah. It's contoured in pretty well. You can actually see it's gone into the hatches, and it's really bonded in there and taken up the contours of the surface. So let's try this now, see if I can get this in camera while I'm doing it. I think we are. So here we have it, you know, I think this is exactly what I was kind of expecting here. So, I'm genuinely trying my best here not to damage it. Let's try and get it there. Some of it's coming off. Oh, come on. I just... Come on, just lift off. Some of it's coming. But look, we've already got bits ripped off, so it's not going well. Just put that there for a second. So, I've got to say that what's just occurred in front of you is pretty much the experience that I think Phil Flory had from memory. Okay, we are getting some of it. Some of it is lifting. Coming up in shards there. I mean, who needs this? When you've got a model that's got dozens and dozens, or maybe even hundreds of decals and stencils on it, who really needs this? Okay, it's coming now. I've got it. I've got it. See that? It's coming up very piecemeal and bit by bit, and jeez, I mean, it's not great, is it? So I'm trying my best not to rip it and not to scratch anything, but it's such a mess, isn't it? And it's so faffy. It's not simple. Let's just try a little bit of tape on this one, just out of interest. I won't take it all off in case it lifts again. I'll just try and take part of it off. See, it's taken off the whole. It's just shattered the decal. They're very brittle. They're very brittle. It's a mess. I'm not impressed. You can see it separated there. Hang on. But look at it coming off in shards. This is a joke. I can see what they tried to do. Sorry. I mean, you could argue that maybe it'd be better if I had a top coat on it. This paint has been on here for 6 months, so it's not fresh. At least 6 months. Well, I'm not impressed. It's kind of what I was expecting. I didn't expect this one to completely lift off the way it did on this side. Well, nearly all of it. I think that sums it up, really. I'm sorry, but I am not impressed, and I haven't deliberately gone at that. You know, I've been hoping it would come off, and because I can see that on some kits and some models, getting that really contoured effect might be beneficial. But I stand by my original comment. So those of you that criticised me, I think of 5 or 6 people who all came forward and said, yeah, can't take it seriously, I haven't tried it. Well, I did just try it, and I did it in good faith. So we've got paint that's 6 months, been on there for 6 months. We've got decal that's been on there for 27 hours, 28 now almost. And look at what happened. You know, we used the tape method, and it took off, shattered half of it and took the rest off. They're very brittle decals. They're not very well printed decals. I'm going back to my original comment, I'm afraid. I know you're probably thinking, yeah, well, if it had been successful, I would have been pleasantly surprised and given it a bit more of a go. Now I'm going to be building the Eduard Zero that those decals come from. That's my next build. I won't be using those. It would be suicide to put those on the model. Look at the mess it's made now, that area. It's taken off some of the paint. It's sheared and shattered in different places. It's splintered. It's given a horrible effect and shadow around it. The Eduard decals are a huge mistake. I'm saying straight to you now, Eduard, I don't care what other people think. I am not going to spend my life pandering to a company that has not developed it properly. One person, and he knows who he is, who's quite well known in the UK with a YouTube channel, said, "Oh, God forbid that somebody would try something new, blah blah blah." Yeah, that's absolutely fine, trying something new. I'm all in favour of what the concept is, but they have executed this very poorly. Not only did they not tell anybody, but they've still executed it poorly, even when we know how to do it. Yeah, they are treating customers like they're part of their R&D department, and that is my beef with them about this. I'm not here to ruin my models for the sake of Eduard, to then think, oh, maybe we've got that wrong, we'll try it again. Go away and develop it properly, this technology. If you're going to insist on it, do it properly. And in the meantime, one gentleman came up with a solution. He said, why can't they offer you both types? A conventional decal and those, and then you can choose which one you want to use. Well, of course, the answer is cost. But he's right, and from a technical perspective, instead of that, they're offering you 8 schemes on a model, none of which you can use, because that's what you're going to end up with. Now, I have done that in good faith. It's a bloody mess. I'm sorry. I'm very disappointed. It's actually ended up worse than I thought it would be. I did expect it to perform a bit better than that. It's a complete mess. I'll zoom you in one more time so you can see it. So there's no arguing. Come on. It's just stupid, isn't it? Just go back to some decent decals from Cartograph. What is Eduard thinking about? So there you go. That's the big one. Most of it came off. Some of it stayed keyed, some of it didn't. And on this side, yeah, it came off. Incredibly difficulty. There's still some film left on there at the end. It's an absolute nightmare, frankly, and you're going to ruin, potentially, a beautiful piece of art that you've created. There is no way that I would even attempt to use those decals on my Zero it's built, because I know it's going to mess it up royally. So I'm sorry. I think I've been fair. You know, I've taken the criticism on board, and I thought, okay, I really should try them. What everybody told me seems to be true, I'm afraid. All the negative comments that people experienced, and Phil Flory and all these other people. He wasn't wrong. My experience is pretty much the same. It's just creating a mess. So the only way around it is to use them and not remove the top film. But removing this top film is deadly dangerous. You're going to end up spoiling your model and spoiling your decals, so I wouldn't bother with it at all. I'm going to get some aftermarket decals is my solution. So there you go. Just a short video today. I wanted to fairly and reasonably respond to some of the criticisms I'd got and give it a go with an open mind. You know, and I did that yesterday, and I used all the setting solutions to make sure it went down beautifully. I rolled it in with cotton buds and made sure it contoured into those little panel lines. What a mess. It's a complete ridiculous concept. Eduard, you need to go back to ordinary decals. That's my take on this. I'm not impressed in the slightest. And I won't buy any more Eduard kits, because it's no good having 8 schemes that the decals are garbage and you can't use them. Suddenly they start to look expensive, so I'm afraid I'm going to steer clear of their kits because it's just a pain. Nobody needs to be having some sort of a lucky dip scenario when they're going to, you know, buy an expensive model, put many, maybe hundreds of hours into it, and then ruin it at the end because Eduard are trying to cut corners and haven't developed their technology of their product properly, and are trying to use the customers like an extension of their R&D department. I'm very disappointed. I was right. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. So if you don't agree with me, you don't agree with me. If you can get them to work, good luck to you. If you want to spend days and days decaling and then go back a day later and trying to tease it off like I've just done, fine. That's your choice. I don't mind. It's nothing to do with me. I'm not going to do that. And I would inexperienced modeller, newcomer, youngster or whatever, I would steer clear of Eduard. I'm sorry, that's the way I'm recommending it now, because if you want to replace their decals, then they're fine. Yeah, they do some great kits. There's a lot of good things in their product range, aftermarket especially. Don't use their decals. Do so at your own risk. You've been warned. So that's a 3 out of 10 from me, I'm afraid. The lowest rating I've given to anything ever. I think that's a joke. I think that's just silly. So go away. Those of you that don't like my opinions, that's absolutely fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I gave it a go. I'm not entirely surprised by the results, but they're actually worse than I thought they were going to be. I actually genuinely hope that they might come out okay, and I might actually be able to use them on that zero. Said that, I've got to go and spend money now buying some extras, so we're not impressed. Anyway, I hope you found the video interesting. Only a quick one. Just thought I would, shoot this fox that's been put out there about you haven't tried them, blah blah blah. Well, no, I have tried them, and yeah, it's kind of what everybody said they were, really. So, not great, not great. Anyway, there we go. No doubt people criticise me. Oh, you didn't put a top coat, you didn't do this, and there'll be some excuse they'll come up with. The bottom line is they're not user friendly to the modeller. That is true. You can't escape from it. And that's my verdict, I'm afraid. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you give me 10 out of 10. Give us a thumbs up. I did give it my best shot. Anyway, until next time, hope you'll all stay well, stay safe. Thanks a lot for joining me. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and bye for now.